Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, behold, the power of foam. Dead Wax is a 6.8% IPA from Foam Brewers in Burlington, Vermont. I'm going to start off this video by saying, by the time you see this, these beers probably aren't going to be too available on shelves in Michigan. You might find them here or there. If you're wondering why that is, distributor M4 has gotten the chance to distribute not only foam, but breweries like Dancing Gnome, Civil Society Brewing, and Southern Grist, just to name a few, while they'll all be up here at HOMES Nucleate Festival taking place on June 4th. Now, because they're only available for a limited time, I figured it would be a good time to check Foam Brewing out, Foam Brewers, to see what else is around outside of the state of Michigan. And hopefully sometime in the near future, we can see M4 distributing stuff like this more often, just like we did with Equilibrium Brewing. They originally came during a Nucleate festival, and M4 distributed them. Eventually, they moved into the entire state. So let's get a look at the label. We'll get it into a glass. But first, I'd like to thank my executive producers, Brian Kramer, David Jeffries, Vinny Canton, Cam Freeman, for helping to bring this review to you today. If you'd like to become a producer, help out the channel, or maybe just throw me a couple bucks to buy me a beer, take a look at my Patreon at patreon.drafttherapy.com, where you can get early access to these videos and a few other special perks that are available only to patrons. If the monetary thing isn't your thing, just share this video with your friends. Let's get more people into craft beer. So let's take a look at this label. So this is Foam Brewers. Most of their labels have this, or at least the ones that I've seen so far, to be honest. I haven't seen that many in person, but the ones that I've seen, they start with this same kind of shape. They have this outline. It's almost like a large style snifter glass. On this one, in white, silver, and black. Across the top in white, it says Dead Wax. There's a turntable with a needle on the record, and it's a skull underneath that. It has these teeth that look like they're all kind of broken up. It's a real kind of rudimentary looking drawing of a skull. I really like it. If we turn it to the side here, it looks like there are records here kind of leaning against it, like you would see in an old school hi-fi shelf or something. And in the middle here, it says Foam Brewers, and then it says Letney underneath that at small suture. That is Sarah Letney. She is the artist that came up with this. It appears that all the different foam labels have different artists that do the different can art. And on the other side has more records. It says India Pale Ale, so that lets you know this is an India Pale Ale. On the bottom here across the back, it says 6.8% alcohol by volume, Burlington, Vermont, keep cold, drink fresh, time kills art, 1 pint, pure beer. And then if we look on the bottom here, this has a canned on date of May 11th, 2022. I am recording this on the 29th, so this has just been canned basically just a few weeks ago. So that's pretty fresh. I'd say about 3 weeks. Does that make sense? My math is off. The 11th through the, okay, yeah, we're just going to say 3 weeks. We're going to move on. So I'm going to grab this IPA glass here. We're going to crack this and put a nose on it. This is 6.8%. This is actually, of the 4 different beers I believe that M4 was able to get from Foam to distribute in their distribution area, this is the lowest ABV one. This is an India Pale Ale. The others are Imperials or doubles, depending on how you want to call it. So let's go ahead and put a nose on this, like I mentioned. And we're going to show real quick from the overhead. I don't know what that looks like quite yet. You'll know before I do. I'm going to look at it. Well, actually, I'm going to smell it. It has a nice dankness to it. There's a citrus aroma that comes off, maybe a little bit of a resinous kind of quality as well, that kind of piney bitter. Let's pour it. And that's a lot clearer than I was expecting, at least on the pour. I was expecting it maybe to be a little bit whiter than this, but it's looking pretty hazy on the pour here. We're going to let it go. Hopefully it doesn't, no, it's not going to pour over. And let's look. We got about 2 fingers ahead here. Really bright white head. Very white. Looking at it, just the kind of coloration of it looks very kind of pale yellow. If we hold it up here to the light, as you can see, this is pretty yellow. It looks pretty yellow to you. To me, it looks a little bit more transparent than it does to you. Again, light shining through the glass through the bottom here is where you really kind of get the thinness of it. It is very hazy. I can just see kind of a shadow of my fingers through the glass, but it's not, I'm not seeing any detail on my hand or anything like that. The head is still, I'm still getting about 2 fingers ahead. It is kind of lacing more around the top here, and the bubbles seem like they've expanded a little bit, but let's put a better nose on the glass here. Getting a sweeter, I feel like now I'm getting a bit more of kind of like a tropical pineapple kind of sweet aroma out of the glass. I am still getting a bit of a dankness and maybe a little bit more of a citrus than a piney than I thought I was getting out of the can. So let's try it out. Cheers. We always start with the mouthfeel first. It has a light kind of airy quality to the mouthfeel. It's not really even in the medium category. It's a light IPA mouthfeel. It just kind of rolls over your tongue really quick. It's almost to a point where it's crisp, but it's not quite crisp. So let's go ahead and talk about the flavor now. There's a lot going on. I got a lot in the upfront, but then on the finish, it changed even more. So on the upfront, because that mouthfeel is so light and so crisp, it kind of feels really light on your tongue at first, and it comes through as a bit of a sweetness. There's a bit of an orangey, citrusy kind of sweetness, maybe a little bit of a pineapple, kind of candied pineapple tropical kind of flavor that comes through just a little bit. It hits like these really almost like lemongrassy kind of flavors at the crest of the swallow, like right before you goes down your tongue, right before you swallow and it goes over your taste buds. There's like a lemony, grassy kind of quality in there that hits a little bit, and then on the finish, it starts to really bitter up. It starts to get that citrus bitterness, like lemon zesty bitterness, mixed with a little bit of an orange sweetness that kind of rolls in there. And then on the finish, on that aftertaste, a little bit more of a rindy citrus peel bitterness comes through. I want to say more of like a lemon peel bitterness really kind of starts to kind of roll through on the finish. So it's a really interesting beer, actually. Like I was kind of expecting this to be more of like a New England style, looking at what Foam does and some of the other things that Foam Brewers does. I kind of just figured it would be in the New England style for some reason. But what it actually is, it's like, um, you're getting this really, it is definitely an IPA. You're getting this really kind of sweet up front, and not super sweet, but it's just like a subtle sweetness up front. Again, you get that little pineapple kind of candied pineapple, a little bit of a tropical flavor, a little bit of an orangey. On the swallow, you start to pick up, that's when the lemon zesty, bitter kind of flavors start to come through. So you're getting those kind of lemon bitterness, like I said, a little bit of like a lemongrass kind of flavor on the finish. This really kind of zesty lemon peel, lemon rind flavor starts to come through, and a little bit of an orangey, and then on the aftertaste, it's really lemony. It tastes like really just kind of strong lemon peel flavors. And all that mixed together, being that really light mouthfeel, it's really just very different. Again, I kind of went into this beer having some expectations of it being more of like I don't know, like a New England style. Like I said before, I figured that's what it would be, but it actually turns more into being a pretty light IPA, 6.8%, not light ABV wise. This, I'm trying to think of, I've had beers that are similar to this, but this kind of puts it in a whole nother kind of category. And I feel like maybe it was Maine Brewing's Lunch, I feel like is a little bit like this, but that is a little bit thicker, where this is a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit even drier on the finish. It's been a long time since I've had lunch, so it might be, maybe not so close of a comparison, but there are beers that I feel like are very similar to this that I've had, and maybe even some Michigan ones, but I feel like with this one, it really is very different from, especially now, the trend of IPAs and the way that IPAs taste and the way that they look and everything like that. This is very different from that. It's kind of treading that New England style, that East Coast style IPA with has a little bit of those West Coasty vibes. Not quite, the resinous quality isn't really in there, but it really feels like it's a melding of these different styles. And maybe even almost like the mouthfeel almost reminds me a little bit of a light Pilsner or a lager, just like it's not super crisp though. So that's really what kind of differentiates it from other beers that I've had before, or like I said, those lagers or whatnot. But it's just a really interesting flavor, and it's a really interesting, it's an interesting flavor, and I would love to see Foam Brewers stick around in Michigan, and hopefully we'll see them soon here. All right, friends, that has been Dead Wax from Foam Brewers. Have you gotten a chance to try this? Have you found it out in the wild? Have you had any of the other foam beers or other breweries that I mentioned earlier? Let me know in the comments down below while you're down there. If you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell. I'm here talking about beer twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's all for free for viewers just like you. And you might miss your newest favorite if you're not subscribed and getting those notifications. If you are subscribed and getting those notifications, share this video if you liked it. Click the thumbs down twice if you didn't like it. And share this video with your friends. Let's widen that net, get more people involved in craft beer. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries. These guys are in Burlington, Vermont. And until next time, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time. Cheers.